Hey, fans of the Monday Movie Club. It's Monday. This week, Joel takes us to the hijinks of prison camp in World War II with The Great Escape from 1963. I think Joel, you're a little obsessed with prison camps. I'm Frank
It's the
Gaffney
Jew
with
in me.
this.
What can I say? It's
I wish there was a Jew in me. As always, Joel, the film freak, Fenster, Goldfook and Cringer, Annie King,
Excuse
and
me.
Mark, the Boob King Gartner. The Boob King, really? I
Oh,
didn't
the
know.
Cooler King.
Oh, I see. You're making a reference to our current movie. All right, Joel.
why I did the same
Why
thing.
The Great Escape?
Why not?
You know, this movie really has a dad vibe. I think you watched this movie with your dad, and that made you want to watch it more and more.
Actually, you'd be surprised. I actually never saw it with my dad. I did not see The Great Escape until after he had passed away, and I was probably in my mid to late teens when I first saw it. I caught it on television one night, and I just fell in love with it. They don't make like the war movies that we get today are not the war movies of the '60s. Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. It's a real dad vibe. Like a
yeah,
dad would love this movie and watch it.
yeah.
I read somewhere that like they watch it on Christmas Day in the UK every year, like
I
Sound of
actually
Music or The Wizard of Oz.
I used to either watch it New Year's Eve day or New Year's Day, like yearly for about a decade or so.
Does that have something to do with the movie itself?
Not really.
They're not escaping at Christmas time or anything.
No, no.
No.
Although they do sing Christmas
They
carols.
do sing Christmas carols, yes,
So maybe that's why it's popular at Christmas.
maybe.
All right, so here's the plot. An escape-proof Nazi prison camp is no match for Steve McQueen, James Garner, Richard Attenborough, and a group of resourceful POWs in this classic World War II drama. A group of Allied soldiers are intent on breaking out, not only to escape, but also to cleverly draw Nazi forces away from battle to search for fugitives. That's fun. The first hour or so obviously inspired Hogan's Heroes because it's all that. I expected somebody to go, I know nothing.
Well, actually, Hogan's Heroes was probably more inspired by Billy Wilder's Stalag 17, but there are similarities between both movies. So,
Well, Hogan's Heroes premiered 2 years after this movie. But here, of course, the Germans aren't quite as cartoonish, but they are very easily swayed. The commandant is reluctant even to offer a Heil Hitler and tells McQueen, we are both grounded for the duration of the war. So he's certainly sympathetic. And puts him kind of on a human level. You know, he's not one of those mean Germans. And James Garner.
Anyone who speaks German can't be all bad.
right.
Achtung, baby. And there was a very funny scene to me. James Garner charming the naive German soldier Werner, who probably ended up being his girlfriend, I'm sure. And a few other Gestapo and SS characters are despicable, but they're not really that big a part of the movie. Okay, so McQueen is a brash American who has tried to escape 17 times already. And he actually became a big movie star with this movie. And he was the one who suggested that motorcycle jump, which at the end of the day, he didn't even do. Stunt person did it. But that's an iconic Steve McQueen moment, certainly. Other Americans are in this British teal, obviously James Garner, Charles Bronson, and that one with the questionable Australian accent. I'm looking at you, James Coburn.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Oh my God. But Joel, I've also read this in the real story. There were no Americans at the camp when they finally did escape.
Correct. Yes. This is about as historically accurate as Braveheart, but they at least
Mark Gartner just went, woo.
they at least acknowledged that you know, in the making of the film, that, you know, even right up front, that you get the title card that says, you know, characters have been combined, names have been changed and stuff. And they let you know that this is based on a true story, but has been changed drastically. So yes, there were no Americans, and, you know, yeah.
So, of course, it is a British soldier, Richard Attenborough, who masterminds the scheme to dig 3 tunnels over 12 months to forge their great escape. How funny to see him 30 years younger than Jurassic Park.
Right.
That was pretty funny. And so the first part really does go on too long for me. I mean, it does have, the levity of the blah, blah, and all the character development, but it just felt very long. And the last hour of the film gets 4 stars because it is so much fun. This is my film critic writing. It is a masterful, sustained piece of action and tension as the various escapees struggle for freedom via train, bicycle, motorbike, rowboat, and even hitchhiking. Director John Sturges intercuts between their respective attempts and leads us to the inevitable tragedy of this based on a real life story. So, what was John Sturges the one who kept wanting to get it made and couldn't get anybody to do it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, given its themes of defiance, resourcefulness, determination, and teamwork in the face of detriment and the death of so many soldiers, it seems unlikely material for a rousing war film, but it is entertaining. But at the end of the day, a lot of them died trying to escape. Not very feel good. I really liked it. I didn't love it. I know I should, but all the elements are there. The real life heroism, the underdogs audience that they root for, and obviously they should. Triumphs, tragedy played out against the unlikely backdrop of a Nazi prison camp during World War II. But somehow it's too much of a boy movie for me. But I still give it a solid 3.25 stars. It's a little too long. Let's call it a very good escape. Not great. And the cast is fun. The action is great in the second half. And that terrific score by Elmer Bernstein. Really terrific score. I love old movies and old movie scores. It's great. So that's it for me. Annie King, have you seen it before?
Nope, never.
And
It was a bit long. I watched it in 2 sittings. I broke it up into 2 nights. First, I have to say, my brother always asked, "What movie are you doing this week?" And when I told him, he was like, "Oh, that's a 4-star movie. That's it." Like, he loved it. Danny had seen it before, and for him, it was 3.5 stars. I thought, so for my brother, that motorcycle chase was fabulous. I thought it was a little too long.
Yep.
But yeah, I just felt a lot of it was good. I like those kind of, how do we escape movies, and I thought it was funny that, and I couldn't understand why they never got to the 3rd tunnel if they were going to try again. And I hated that so many of them were killed. I'm like, how is this a great escape if
Yep.
so many of them didn't make it? So,
well, they did make it. They just got caught.
yeah, well, I didn't like that.
They did
And
escape.
then my one nitpick was, and maybe because I worked in a jewelry company, but the double fences, you go through one, it has to close behind you before the next one opens. And that didn't happen here. They just kept walking through both of the gates. And I was like, well, that doesn't make sense. So maybe someone could explain that.
German efficiency.
Okay.
Inefficiency in this
Yeah,
case.
exactly.
Yeah. I was like, well, that defeats the whole purpose of the
double
gate.
fence. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but
But
for me,
along those lines, think about it this way: whenever Steve McQueen was brought back to the camp, he had to go through those double doors into the camp and then go through another set of double doors after walking through the camp to get to the cooler. That's just like poor planning on everybody's part. Why would you stick it all the way on the other side of the camp outside another set of double doors?
For dramatic effect.
For dramatic effect.
I loved how each person had their own little part, how they made clothes out of all the old uniforms and the forger and James Garner like being able to get everything that was a little surprising, but I
Oh,
love
boy,
how
when he got the wallet, that was fabulous.
yeah.
Supposedly, James Garner actually did that during, I think it was the Korean War. He was a scrounger for his
Wow.
platoon, and
Great.
That's cool. That's
Yeah.
very cool. Yeah.
Well,
And
then
he's,
it's
he's,
just typecasting.
he's the original Red.
Yes.
Yeah.
the original Red.
Oh, from Shawshank?
Yeah. He's the original Red.
I haven't read that book or seen it in so long.
Wait till next month.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So for me, it was 3.25 stars. Enjoyable, but a little bit too long. And I'm sure I'll see it again because Danny seems to like it a lot.
Like I said, it's a boy movie, right,
Yeah.
Mark?
Definitely.
You don't have a picture up though.
I don't. It was just because I was rushing this morning, so I did my name instead. So I gave it something. I like. It was like I think you said it, Frank. It was a like, not a love. But I miss the good old days of when Americans played other nationalities. You know. What did I say here? The beginning, it was too goofy for me. It was almost slapstick to be taken seriously. And I mean, I think we've all seen enough Nazi movies to know it was completely unrealistic. I mean, they treated these POWs. There was like a sleepaway camp instead of a Nazi camp. I mean, is that because they were POWs? They were given a little more respect. I mean,
well,
okay.
that's part of the history of it, is that I forget the name of the actual commander, but he was not a member of the Nazi Party. He was completely anti-Nazi, and he adhered to rules of war like the Geneva Convention stuff, where it's like, if you have a prisoner of war who is a commander in an opposite army forces, you treated them in a certain way so that they weren't being abused or anything like that. That changed as the war went on, obviously, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's very obvious that the commander is not so pro-Nazi.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was still World War II, and I feel like I felt like, I mean, there were unarmed guards in there with them. I felt like that. I felt, everything I've ever seen is just, the Germans are yelling at you, moving you along with their rifle butts. I mean, it's something. And if you try to escape, they were going to shoot you. So the 50 guys being shot, I was waiting for that the whole time.
He was like, torture them, goddammit.
Seriously. I mean, they're even drinking. I mean, they're getting drunk, and everyone's like, "Yeah, it's all right."
I'll bet that this was more realistic than having 100% of every single Nazi being exactly the same way. It's like, Frank, when we've always said, when you watch a movie and everybody in the movie's audience laughs, Frank and I are like, not every single person is going to laugh hysterically at everything.
Right, especially Frank.
I'll be like, oh my God, that was so funny.
Now it's a fair point. Fair points. I enjoyed the motorcycle chase and the big jump. Tom, Dick, and Harry was cute. Young James Garner, he was a sharp-looking dude. I had no idea he was like a Cary Grant guy.
He was good looking.
Yeah, and I never knew that Shawshank stole the dirt distribution bit. That seemed like it was taken directly from here.
Well, Stephen King stole it.
Yes.
Well, yeah, exactly. Oh my God, I was pissed that Charles Bronson not only escaped the tunnel, but actually escaped. One of the few people, after preventing potentially dozens of other guys from getting out. I was like, oh my God, somebody's shooting him instead. And don't get me started on the dude that stood up in the tunnel and got everyone caught just because he was a little bit impatient. I'm a peaceful man, but that guy deserved a private pile soap beating that night. Last thing I'll say is I didn't love the ending. And what I wrote originally was that the 50 people shot was the most realistic part of the movie. But I did like it, and I'm giving it a solid 3 stars.
3 stars. That's less than both me and Annie said.
I'm still over the war movies, I think. I like escape movies, but war movies, I'm just... But I did, and again, as I've said to Joel many times, he's been trying to get me to watch this for a while, and I'm very glad I finally did.
Good.
And will you ever watch it again?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
it's
okay.
not 2.5. It was not torturous in any way. It was a little bit too long, and I found the beginning part a little bit too silly and too long. But now that you guys said that too about the officers, the way that they were being treated, maybe I would appreciate a little bit more on a second viewing in 3 to 5 years.
It goes back on the list. Aim, had you seen it before?
I'd never seen it, and it was not the movie I was expecting. I always thought the movie was from the 40s, and I was shocked as soon as it started how light the music is to set the tone for this is a much lighter movie than you think it's going to be, which I loved. But Joel or somebody else, that theme song I have heard as much in my life, if not more, than any other theme song, and I had no idea it was from this movie.
Sure. Yeah.
But I mean, I hear it in commercials. I hear it constantly.
You're a fan of The Simpsons. The episode where Maggie was in the daycare center, the Ayn Rand School for Tots, whatever it was called, when she's trying to escape. That's the music
That's
they're
funny.
playing.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
She's
But I
sitting
mean,
there.
I hear this. I feel like I hear this song on a regular basis.
Yeah, you do.
It was incredible to me. I was like, okay, maybe this isn't even really from The Great Escape. Maybe it's from somewhere else.
Nope.
I feel like it's in commercials, everything. I mean, I remember the Ayn Rand School, but I didn't remember it was in there. Charles Bronson was beautiful, and I never thought he was a good looking guy. Oh my God, was he beautiful.
But he was relatively jacked back in the early 60s.
Yeah.
Nobody lifted weights like that, and he had true musculature. That was very unusual.
Yeah, he was beautiful. And I also watched it in 2 showing. I wish I had watched it in 1 because then it was like, oh, wait a minute, now I don't remember. Wait, what's going on now? I would definitely watch it again. I'm giving it an easy 3.25 stars. I really liked it a lot more than I thought I would. And to me, it's barely even a war movie. It's just oh my God, how are they going to escape movie? Because they're gonna. So.
And then the Nazis are waiting.
I was very disappointed. And then, I read up on it and they really did not all. 50 people did die out of 79. And I thought all 250 were going to escape. And it was great when he popped his head up and he's like, oh, fuck, we're 20 feet away.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, when they first said how many got out, 76, I thought same thing. I was waiting for the others to escape after this, and it never happened. Yeah.
Joel, did I read this that it's like you could visit the actual camp?
Well, the camp itself isn't in existence anymore, from what I understand. I've never been there, but there is a memorial placed on the spot where one of the tunnels was to the 50 men that died, and I think there's a replica of the camp that was built not too far from the actual camp.
Right, and there's a tunnel, and then the fence is 50 feet away.
Yeah.
I think that's what I read.
I do not know, because I think historically it's not that they came up that short. The problem they had was that it wasn't in like the middle of the summer, which is what the movie seems like it takes place. It was actually really cold and snowy, and when they popped up, all the trees that were right around where the tunnel came up were bare. So they were still sitting ducks, but
why do they dig the end of the tunnel right in front of where the guard walks back and forth? Couldn't have gone to the left or right? Come on.
Natasha watched this with me, and we both looked at each other afterwards, and I was like, we've been in 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks, we'll be married for 20 years. She's never seen this movie. And I'm like, I know I've watched this movie since we've been married a number of times. How have we not seen it together?
He always walks out of the room when it starts.
Right. Probably. I mean, I said to her, it's a war movie, but it's not a war movie like Saving Private Ryan or the more modern stuff. It's really an action adventure pick. And that's it does have those dark Nazi overtones running through the bottom of the film at times, and it doesn't really pop up until the end. It really is very much an action film, and I love it. I've seen it more times than I care to count at this point. The length never bothers me at this point. I'm used to it.
It really didn't bother me. That's why I would watch it again in one sitting.
Yeah. I love, I think setting up the characters, some of them just kind of fall into very quick, stereotypes and tropes that you need. But I think they all work wonderfully well because they've all got great actors in them.
I thought you were going to say they all have great nicknames because
They,
everybody.
they have nicknames, yes. They do have those, and it's funny because you look at Charles Bronson's career, where he moves into those, the Death Wish sequels and the offshoots of that in the 70s into the 80s, and you're like, why is this guy popular? And it's like you look back at this film as like someone knew how to direct him, someone knew how to get a performance out of him at one point, and eventually, who knows where that went? But
Joel, was
Same
that
thing
supposed to be,
happened.
was that supposed to be a Polish accent?
yes, he was supposed to be a Polish.
I thought it was Russian.
No,
And
he was
then-
Polish.
And the same thing has happened to Liam Neeson today.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, sure.
He used to be a good actor, and now he just does abduction.
Taken.
Taken. As a history buff, I enjoy the film for what it is, but it's also, for me, it's a launching pad into what actually happened.
So where's that movie, Joel? Where's that movie?
I think I haven't seen it in a bazillion years. There's a sequel. It was a TV miniseries called The Great Escape 2, The Untold Story, or something like that. I don't remember. It's got Christopher Reeve in it, and it's still historically inaccurate, but not as much. And it really kind of replays the escape itself, but then goes further in explaining what happened to the various people in the escape, and then even what happened to the Nazis who killed them after the fact. So, but I don't think it's available on home video. So I haven't seen it in a bazillion years. So
It's another 3-hour movie.
yeah, well, it was a TV miniseries. It was like a 2-part, monstrosity on CBS for 2 nights. So yes, well, you can't tell a story like that in 90 minutes. It just doesn't work.
Oh, I can tell in a minute.
Anyway, I'm gonna go with 3.5 stars just because it's a go-to movie for me. I like John Sturgis's work. He's done a lot of
I have no idea what else he did. Never heard of him.
There's something you can look up.
Oh, I thought you were going to tell me.
Well, The Magnificent Seven.
Oh, yeah. Because some of these people were, excuse me,
Yeah, they were part of the Seven. So
in the Magnificent.
Yeah.
Charles Bronson was?
Charles Bronson, Steve McQueen.
James Coburn?
Well, I don't remember if James Coburn's. It's been a while since I've seen The Magnificent Seven.
Yeah.
All I know is the Maverick, the movie in '94 had both James Coburn and James Garner. And I
Garner,
never knew
yes.
that. So that was cool for me.
And James Coburn's in Hudson Hawk. So that's
Your favorite.
So there's that.
there's that.
All right. Are we done? Wow. Quick one. Yes, we're done? All
Yeah,
right.
I got nothing else. It's go watch it.
Yeah,
It's
well,
on 6 p.m. tonight.
Yes.
yes, it is. That's what it's supposed to say. It's not on your usual streaming services, but if you have cable, and you boomers out there still do, it's on TCM tonight at 10 p.m. if you're watching this on Monday, September 25th. Because, they could watch it a week from now. Who knows?
They're not watching this a week from now.
We're not watching it.
If
They're
they-
not even
if-
watching it now.
Yeah, right. I was gonna say, if they
Ah.
skipped it on Monday, they ain't coming back on Tuesday.
All right, so next week brings us to October and a special date with Mean Girls, which was selected by Annie. Now, isn't there, what is it, October 4th is the Mean Girls Day?
I don't remember.
Why is it a special day for Mean Girls?
It
They
says
did
it in the movie.
Oh, okay. Well, she
Yeah.
doesn't. She'll find out by next week. That's on Paramount Plus if you want to watch it. That's it for us. I'm Frank Gaffney. Go watch a movie.
Also with you.